your hands together for Moojan.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Hi, hello everybody. Thanks a lot, Toa, for these glass bottles, by the way. Very good for the environment. A little bit about actually why am I here and the topic of my talk. So we're going to talk about why education in AI and why now. So I'm the co-founder of Women in AI. I'm a tech entrepreneur myself. Very passionate about education and the power of education. Women in AI is a global community of women experts and professionals in the field of artificial intelligence. We co-founded this 2 years ago, and we are in 80 countries, and we have over 2,000 members globally. So we are a non-profit organization, and our mission is to close the gender gap in AI, and education is the core of our activity. And myself, I've run a couple of educational programs. Recently, I ran an IoT educational program for youth, bringing talents from different diverse backgrounds into a place called Hacking House to work on IoT projects. And I also saw a couple of acceleration programs for startups, focusing on young generation. So why do we need education in AI, and why now? So all of you've heard a lot about AI, all these buzzwords, machine learning, NLP. If you check on Google and just write artificial intelligence, you come up with 5 million results in 17 seconds. So it's huge. We're talking about the first industrial revolution. We're having every day a new application coming up, and basically, we're talking about this exponential growth. So if you check, if you look at all the technologies so far, you see the growth and the basically usage of the applications and those technologies. And when we come to AI and all these surrounding topics mixed with blockchain, quantum computing, IoT, we're getting to where that it's very, very faster than what we think. And we really need the right pace to upgrade ourselves and update ourselves to be able to keep up with this growth. So you also see, the big companies, the big minds of our, the tech giants. They're talking also about a term called AI first. So all of them, they're putting their efforts, telling us, communicating that they are shifting from their previous, let's say, mobile, web, and other activities towards AI first. So you see that from Google, you see that also from Amazon. So all these things coming. It also presents an opportunity for us. It's not also only about saying that we're losing our jobs or like tomorrow we're going to be jobless. It's going to create opportunities for us to see where do we project ourselves tomorrow. What am I going to do tomorrow that changes my job? So today, maybe I'm, filling up some Excel sheets at a bank. That was actually my previous job. Something that, repeats all the time. How could AI help me to expand and augment myself and enjoy my life? Interesting thing about AI algorithms and products is that they changes the focus and they change the focus of us and the purpose of our lives and the way that we think. So today what is happening is that AI is expanding in all the directions and industries, and it's going to, and it is already, it's going to exceed the human potentials in every single task. So what is left from us humans is the very, very basic, basically simplistic things that no machine can replicate it, which is humans' sense, humans' potential, soft skills, and all this stuff that a 4-year-old child does it better than any powerful AI. And we see that in any industries. We see that in health, for instance, we're getting closer to cure many good disease, and you can imagine tomorrow that there will be no doctor doing a surgery because you cannot trust a doctor because of the human's errors. But you can use that as broadcasting, working on your new challenges and your new technologies to do something better with the AI applications. You also see some use cases that is very, very essential to focus on the ethical parts, for instance, in the defense, that we need to really know what is happening and share that knowledge and not only keeping it on the hands of those who are using it exclusively for themselves. So I do believe that AI can help us to come over the challenges, most of the important challenges that we have today. Some of the previous speakers, they talked about climate change. So I do believe that AI can help us to solve these things if we have the right approach to it. So this number is basically the number of years that we have, almost, to reverse the climate change effect. You saw that from the previous speaker, that we basically are facing a real challenge. It also is the number of tons of plastic, 10 million of tons of plastic per day that we're putting in the oceans. So now one of the interesting things that some companies are doing, and we could even do more with AI, is to cleaning the oceans and to basically using the drones and machine learning based on image recognition to find the amount of plastics which are not seen, because 98% of the plastics are actually in the sea that we don't even see them. So we can see them and we can clean our oceans. So why not doing more of this? And why not educating ourselves and to going after these type of things to use AI for better and reverse these effects that we have done? Another example is, for instance, to expand our knowledge and discover new galaxies or discover new things out there, outside our planet. So, for instance, in this case, NASA and Google, they have joined forces to basically work on a Kepler mission, finding new exoplanets. Imagine you could use AI to actually find the size of the universe. I believe that one of the maybe most important questions that we have today is that where do we come from, what are we doing? And I believe AI might actually help us to get closer to this answer. And we also come with some challenges, ethical challenges, that more and more AI is getting, more and more wars are getting closer to AI weaponized. So this is also a challenge, that how are we learning, how are we raising the new generation of us, of our children, to know what are the dangers outside, and is it a way that we should, forecast the future? How are we going to bear with it, and basically all this. Now we have another issue, which is gender bias and gender diversity. Previous speaker also talked about it, that we have a lack of gender diversity in the tech, in AI also, because AI comes actually from engineering, mostly tech. So 12% is the global percentage of participation of women in AI. And that number, 200, it's more than actually 200 years. It's the time that it takes actually, according to World Economic Forum, to reach to equality between men and women. Why not accelerating that? I do believe that if we have a right education, we can actually do that in less than that time. So there are a few ways that we can do. We can learn about AI and we can raise awareness around the topics and the problems that we have to learn better. So one of them that is very easy is self-learning. We have so many actually personalized AI applications also that help us to learn. Best thing is just go on the internet and read. But also AI is helping to have more personalized learnings that we didn't have it before. Another interesting way is actually this project called Omdena. So what they do, it's actually project-based, mission-based. You can join an online challenge on remote, and then depending on the theme, you can work on it and build a solution. This is amazing because you have a diverse team of people from different backgrounds, and you come together and work on that solution. And it is actually very interesting because they work with different companies around the world, sometimes with NASA and sometimes with the health companies. For instance, they had recently a challenge on PTSD. So these are all interesting ways to know how you can join, and you don't need to have a technical background. So this is one of the issues that we have. Sometimes people say, so AI, yeah, it's perfect, I hear a lot about it, but I'm not a technical person to learn. You don't need to have a PhD in AI or be, a programmer. You just need to know enough how to use it and what are the implications, because we all are getting impacted by AI, starting from data privacy to self-driving cars. Another thing that I'm actually really an advocate actually of these two people is about schools. So I do believe that schools are not doing a great job, and that's why I actually want to suggest School 2.0. I don't know how many of you know the guy on the right, Serkan Robinson, so you know, right. So he's actually a famous TED Talk speaker, and he has a very famous talk called Schools Kill Creativity. I tend to agree with him. I think that we are on the way, on somehow the trends from the World War, like training our children in the same way, putting everybody in the same box, and this should be the way. So schools should be more personalized, and they should provide more creative courses and more creative learnings. So now the guys that I actually have the pleasure to know him as a friend and work with him is Siraj Raval, the other side on the left. So he has founded School of AI, and he wants to basically provide every child on the planet with a free bachelor's degree. And everything is online. You can, of course, have offline courses with the ambassadors that he has in different countries. But that's what he's doing. So it's really disrupting, first of all, the US market. He's based in the US. And second, education for everyone. Because if we have only a part of people educating on AI and not the rest, this is going to create discrimination. Another two great organizations that I'm really a big fan of them is AI for All, co-founded by Fei Li, who's one of the biggest female role models in AI. So she's also a Stanford professor, and she has created AI for All, teaching kids on AI. Also, there's this organization linked to Stanford ML Group that are having boot camps on AI and climate change. And they are doing great jobs. Basically, they work on projects and real use cases. So children can learn the AI applications based on real cases, and they can actually move them forward. And they can become real products and companies. And also we have a program at Women AI. This is called Way to Go. What we offer is an AI education for all ages and all backgrounds. So we have programs starting from 13 years old up to, doesn't have limits. And our main goal is to do an introduction, and we focus a lot on girls, because that's actually the problem that we're focusing on. So we basically we start with introductory courses to tell the students, tell girls, what's AI, what's the implication, and really get them very fast working on real projects. So we had some robotic courses, and the students, they could, at the end, first build their robot themselves, and then program it, and then win a challenge together. And we did that in Sydney and in Paris, and so the results was very interesting. Almost all of them, they said that they really enjoyed it, and then all of them, they said that they wished that they had the same at school. It's not working. Oh yeah. So actually, I want to tell you the story of Lou, who is one of the participants in our camp, summer camp that we organized. So at the time she was 13, and now she's 14. She started learning coding at the age of 9 to 11, and she actually suffers from being too smart for her age. At her school, she's a little bit isolated. She feels that nobody really understands what she's doing. She has started to code Python a little bit after. Now she's very interested in AI. So her dream is to create a humanoid robot to help elderly and people. And so when I asked her, like, what is your dream? What do you really want? What do you really wish? She said that I wish that people get me, and they stop telling me that why you're doing an engineering when why you're basically doing what you do. And I think that this should be changed. I think people like Lou are the future, and they can change our lives, and the future is in their hands. So we really need to invest in them, and I do believe that all schools should teach AI, and get kids basically on the real cases, because they are very, very innovative. And also, just talking a little bit about institutional organizations and other regulatory frameworks. So last month there was this conference about AI and education in UNESCO. It was actually the first time that they were reflecting on AI. And the good thing is that these institutions, European Commission, UNESCO, they have started to really be interested in these topics, and I think that's good signs. They started to think about how to deal with AI, what are the guidelines and everything. So with Women AI, we started also to work on a project called AI for EU, which is a platform for Europe to put AI for educational resources for everybody in a European level. So that's quite interesting that they have started to do that, and I think that it should be faster than what is happening, but these are also positive moves. So I want to close my talk with this sentence from Stephen Covey, that technology is a great slave, but a terrible master. I do believe that we can do great things with AI, and if we educate the young generation better than us, so we're not going to create more mess, and actually we're going to clean our own mess. Thank you so much.
Oh, amazing. Okay, so we've got time for some questions. So first one up is, how do you think children from developing countries can be included in AI education?
In developing countries, so it's very interesting. When I was at a UNESCO conference, there were so many education ministers from all around the world, and mostly African countries. And I had a chance to speak to the educational minister of Sierra Leone. There's a country in Africa, maybe you know. And he was telling me we don't have even electricity. We sometimes have internet connections. And he was there, and he wanted to run an AI program. And that's interesting, because I think when you remember like those very, very early times of 3G and 4G, and people were comparing it to ADSL and everything, but African countries started, directly from 3G. I think that AI education should be for everybody, and especially under development and developing countries, because that's where maybe the biggest discrimination will come. So we really need to focus on the education for them.
I would say so what I think is really interesting when we start talking about the dichotomy from developed and developing, I think often when we talk about developed countries versus developing, there's a lot of stuff that we do in developed countries that's like super inefficient. So I think the labels are a bit misleading, because a lot of countries that haven't made the same investments that these developed countries have the ability to leapfrog. So something like AI has a huge benefit, because you can just start without all the extra baggage. So I guess that leads us to our second question, which is where to find advice regarding technologies that I should learn to start with. Where to find advice regarding technology I should learn to start with AI?
I think the best way is just starting to read, and reading mostly on internet. What I did myself, I have an engineering background, but I'm not an AI expert. What I did, I started to follow some influencers on Twitter, and then watching some videos, educational videos. Coursera is also good. And then yeah, at Women AI we do actually have a community on Slack, and then we have all our community experts and ambassadors from all around the world. So any question you have, you just post it there, and we try to find a way to support. And we also have like events and some workshops, so it's free for everybody. They can participate. It's not only for women, also men are welcome.
Hi. For the men out there. Great. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Moojan.
Thank you so much.